Chapter 3, looking at Maya with different eyes. In this chapter, we're going to take a closer look at the script editor and what happens when you do simple stuff in Maya or when you do anything in Maya. And then after that, I'm going to tell you that we're not really going to use the script editor because of a lot of reasons. And then we'll do our first scripting already. Yes, it will be more a little bit of smart copying and pasting, but there will be scripting involved. Okay, let's switch to Maya and let's take a look at something very important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go open up my script editor. If I go to the command line, you can open up your script editor by clicking here, script editor. Just resize that a little bit, or you can go to Windows General Editors or wherever it is, script editor right here. Okay, I normally use this one. I am just gonna delete or clear what is in there, or actually no, let's leave it in there so you can clearly see the difference. The script editor has two parts: the history and the input. The history is where you will normally look if you need feedback about something, which we will use in a second. And then you have the input where you will type your commands, or where you will copy the script and then execute it. You can clear all this, remove it, so we can clearly see what is going on by going clear history, just like that. Okay, so it's nice and clean. Now, the most important thing that you have to understand at this point is that everything you do in Maya is reflected in the script editor. From creating a sphere to creating a shader to adjusting particle attributes, everything. And this is a very important source of information for your own script. If you write your own scripts, what you do normally, just to figure out what is going on, is you take a look at what happens if you do it by hand. Let's say that we want to create a script. We have to start somewhere to create a sphere. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sphere. Okay, and then you have to take a look at the same time. I'm going to take a look what happens here in the script editor. Okay, so I'm going to go create polygonal sphere. Okay, there you go. Okay, you can see that I have here already a command. What this all does and what it all means, you don't have to worry about that too much. But there is a command here, polysphere, which is the command that creates this sphere. If I were to create, let's say, a cube, I have a command, polycube, right here. Okay, you can copy this, and with your middle mouse button you can drag it into the input field. Okay, what we have behind this, -W and then 1 minus H and then 1, are flags. Okay, in chapter 4 we'll discuss what mel commands are, but these are basically specifications of the command, which W stands for width and H stands for height, and then you have the width and height with a number. Okay, this polycube, if I were to create a new scene, so I'm just going to create a new scene, and then I execute this command by hitting enter, there you go, there I have my polycube. Now there's a very important thing that you have to understand. When you're executing command, you have to hit enter. Enter is the enter key on the bottom right corner of your keyboard. Don't hit the enter key in the middle of your keyboard. Hit the one near or in the numerical pad, because if you hit the return key, this happens. Okay, you lose your command, which becomes a little bit annoying. Let's say that you have a whole script in there and you want to execute it, you hit the wrong one, you lose everything. Now you can undo it, but you can only undo it once, and you know, it's a little bit annoying. Now this, like I said, is very important. Whatever you do in Maya, let me clear all by going edit, clear all. Whatever you do in Maya is reflected in the script editor. Even if I were to create a new scene just like that, okay, you can see that file -F new is the command and the flags to create a new scene. By the way, but you know, you should know all this stuff. I have my own marking menus. This is pretty straightforward. I have a new scene here, open scene, exit, polygonal sphere, because you know, you do that a lot, so I just made a marking menu. You have all these marking menus, but that's all basic Maya stuff, so you know, you should know that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so again I'm gonna drag that in there with my middle mouse button. If I were to execute this again, Maya has created a new scene. Now if you want to know what this file and -f, -u and all that stuff, what it really means, well, then you have to look it up in the developer resource. So just as an example, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to my developer resource and I'm going to type file. Okay, there you go. Here is file. I'm going to click on that, and I'm not going to take a look at too much at the flags right now because this is a pretty advanced command. So I'm just going to take a look here what it does. This command needs a single main flag that specifies the action to take. Okay, so this doesn't say too much. This is a bit of an exception because this command, you can see all the flags. The possibilities are huge. Okay, but let's take the other example. Let's say polysphere it was, right? So let's go polysphere right here. Polysphere, it doesn't have too much flags, so we can take a look at that. Okay, so if we create polysphere, the default sphere, so let me clear that again. So let me create a sphere. The default sphere comes with all these flags. So if you want to know what R means, you can take a look there. You can take a look at R, which is probably radius. There you go, radius. I will explain in a second, or I can explain it now. Every flag has a long and a short name. Okay, we will discuss this much more in depth when we're doing the mel commands, which is the next chapter. But I want to show you now actually that everything in Maya, again and again, is reflected in the script editor. Very, very important. Bon. The next part in this section, in this chapter, is a closer look at external editors and why you should use them. Now, in all honesty, the script editor is a bit basic for anything except copying and pasting scripts in the input and execute them, because you don't really have a lot in the script editor that will help you with your scripting. Especially for long scripts, you're going to go mental if you do it all in the script editor. That is why you have to use an external editor. An external editor is basically like Notepad, but optimized for programming. The one that I use is called Mel Studio Pro. Mel Studio Pro is a little bit more than an external editor. It is actually a plugin for Maya that replaces the script editor completely. So, because if I go to General Editors, Mel Studio, you can see that it's part of the interface, and if I were to type a command, I can just execute that here, and you can see that that sphere gets created. It is not a notepad per se because it is connected into the Maya architecture. Now this is a commercial one, but I'll give you the link to one that you can download from the internet, which is totally free, which is called Crimson Editor. Okay, let me just look for the link. It is here. Okay, so Crimson Editor, you can go to crimsoneditor.com. This is the link, and you can just download it there. Crimson Editor is a professional source code editor for Windows. I just copied this from the side. It does all the things that I'm going to explain you right now, but it is not integrated into Maya, so you will still have to copy and paste your code into the script editor. Anyway, that is the one that you should download right now if you want to continue following this course. Okay, and it will help you a lot because it has all the things that I'm just going to explain. Now, why should you use an external editor? Because, in essence, it makes life a whole lot easier. One of the most important things is syntax highlighting. Okay, comments, procedures, and commands are highlighted in user-definable colors. If I jump to Maya, okay, I'm going to explain you some stuff. Okay, if I take a look already at just have SnowMaker open here, you can see that I have a lot of colors in there. Okay, you can see that my procedures are blue. You can see that my commands are this orangey color. This makes your script so much easier to look at, and it makes it easier to find things, because even in a relatively simple script like this, where you have almost 600 lines, it gets a little bit difficult to find stuff when it's all the same. Now this also has a lot to do with your own syntax and paraphrasing, which I explain in a second, but this is very, very important that you have syntax highlighting. I'm just going to go to an empty document. I will explain you in a second what this all does. And one of the nice things also is that I can increase my font size, which will make things easier for you to see, which you cannot do in the script editor. And what I mean by syntax highlighting is that, for example, if I use a command, let's say that I use the particle command, okay, particle command, it becomes orange. Then I use a flag. Let's look it up and let's see which flag that we can use. Okay, let's look it up. Particle, just like that. You know what I'll do? I'll just take a flag here. Let's say the position of the particle. So I'm just going to copy that like so, and then just give it a vector. Don't worry about this. Okay, and I'm going to create a new scene just like that. Okay, this is syntax highlighting. You can see that I have this changes into color, this changes into black, and things like that. Okay, if I create a procedure, you don't know what it is yet, don't worry about it, I will explain you in due time. I get different colors like that. If I create, create a procedure, create particle like that, whatever, and it creates colors for me, so it makes it easy to look at. If I were to create a comment is basically like a note inside the script, which you always have to precede by a double slash, or there are other ways to do that. I'll explain that in due time as well. You can see that it becomes green. This creates a particle. Okay, so this by default is green. All these colors, fonts and colors, you can change those, but I just left them to the default. So they were good enough for me. Okay, so this is the first one actually. So that is, let's say, syntax highlighting. So syntax highlighting like that. So that's a first really pleasant thing that you have in external script editors, which you don't have in the normal script editor. The second important thing is the automatic command completion. Now, so command completion, like so. Command completion means that just like if you were to write a link in here in your browser, if I go www.cg whatever, CG channel or CG talk, it automatically completes that for me. Now, so I don't have to type it. Now, this does the Mail Studio Pro does the same thing. If I have a command, for example, let's say column layout, I can hit Control and Spacebar, and it will complete that command for me. If there are multiple possibilities, so let's say show, it will give me this list of commands, and I can just choose out of that list. Which, it's again a thing that makes life easy. You don't have to type that much. It will easy check for spelling mistakes, and so on and so on. Okay. So the third thing is column with overview of procedures. Okay. So that is C left. This is this on the left side. Here on the left side, again, especially when your scripts are becoming longer, it makes it easy to navigate through the scripts. Let me open up a script again by Stephen De La Luca. You can see this, the highlighting, but you can see that also if I click on this one here, that all my procedures, I know you don't know what that is yet, but it's like bookmarks. You can click on them and then it will jump to that procedure in your script. Also very easy. It will also, if I open up some more scripts and I close the procedure drop down, it gives you an overview of the scripts that are currently open, and just by double clicking on them you can jump to those scripts. These are obviously all things that the script editor cannot really do, or cannot do at all. And then the find and replace function is something that you use, I don't know, or that I use maybe 100 times a day. If you hit F, Control F, there is this find function. Let's go find. There you go. It must be hidden somewhere. I don't know where it is right now. That's a bit odd. Okay, well, there's a find function in there as well, which allows you to find stuff in your script, just as you would have it in Word, for example, just like you would have this find function or you have a replace function. The Mel Studio Pro and Crimson Editor all has those things. One other neat thing that Mel Studio Pro is, which is not that is not listed here, is that it detects mistakes. Not all of them, but it detects mistakes. So let me write that down as well. Mistake detection. If I were to open something, let's say that I create a variable, and then I open my quotation marks, I write something and I don't close them, you see that my whatever is in that quotation marks becomes red. Okay, so red obviously is a bit, a bit of a sign of an emergency or a mistake. So if I close them again, there you go, then my string will be nice and purple. Okay, now that we know that, I am actually going to refrain from using the script editor in this course, and I'm just going to use Mel Studio Pro, but I'm going to make it so that it looks exactly like the script editor, and every time there is something that is different than the script editor, I will tell you. One thing that is different, or the same as you want, but it's just hidden under a different button, is that if I want to clear my history, I go in the script editor, I go edit, clear history. Okay, you see that this automatically updates. But if I want to do that in Mel Studio Pro, I right click and I say clear history. But all the commands that are under this right mouse button here are right here in the script editor, echo all commands and all these things. So I will just use this basically or primarily because it allows me to enlarge my font a little bit, so it's easier for you guys to see what is going on, and also because of the syntax highlighting, it will be easier to follow what I'm writing. Okay, so let me delete all that and let's jump to the next part of this lecture, which is an example where we will do our first scripting. Excuse me. Good. Like I said before, everything is reflected in the script editor when you do something. So you know what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna show you something. Okay. I use marking menus all the time. Let me just delete that. Let me hide that so far. I use marking menus all the time. For everything, and I'm going to show you how I run into a little problem while I wanted to create a marking menu and how I solved it, because there's a little bit of Mel involved, and it is a good introduction into what we will do. Good. So let me create a new scene. I'm just going to quickly repeat how you create marking menus. You should know that, but you know, let's say that you want to create a marking menu. Let me bring back my menus here. If you want to create a marking menu, you hold down. First you have to bring whatever you want to create into your shelf here. So to do that, I hold down Shift, Control and Alt, and I go, for example, to General Editors, let's say Mel Studio Pro. Okay, so I get it now here in my shelf. So if I click this, it opens up Mel Studio Pro. If I want to create that into a marking menu, I have to go to Settings, Preferences, Marking Menus. Okay, and then I can go, for example, into my Outbox Out, Edit Marking Menu, and I can add that right here. I drag it with my middle mouse button here. Then if I save that and I save that, then you will see that here at the bottom I have Mel Studio Pro right here. Okay, now one thing that I use all the time, and that you use all the time, I guess, when you're doing rendering, is that if you bring up your Hypershade, is the Create Render Node option, this one here. Okay, it is something you create all the time to create your shaders and to create your textures and all that. And I wanted to create that. I wanted to put that into a marking menu. So I just went through the process, and you know, there was a little problem. I'll just show you. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to add this to the shelf. So I wanted to start normally holding down Shift, Control, and Alt. So go down, create render node. Oops, nothing is happening. So it says here, error, this action has no effect. So now what I did, I thought, okay, let's take a look. Everything is reflected in the script editor. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a look what happens if I do that. Okay, script, this action has no effect. Okay, now this is because there is so much going on under Maya's hood. Maya does not really put everything in the script editor. It kind of makes a selection of the important things and it keeps stuff hidden. Now you can show all that stuff, and you do that by going Echo Alt Commands. You turn that on. Everything will be reflected in the script editor. Echo All Commands is script Echo All Commands. Okay, so that's exactly the same thing. Now if I clear this, clear history, if I just clear this one and I do the same thing, so I try to bring up that create render node menu. There you go, it brings it up. Of course I get this here. Okay, this is, I didn't do anything else. Okay, I just brought that up. So let's see what happens if I drag this here. Okay, and then it doesn't really matter yet that you don't know what all this means. The important thing is that everything gets reflected in the script editor. So that means if I execute this now, again, be careful that you hit the enter key on your numerical pad and not the return key. I get this. Okay, so this is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so it's very easy now with my middle mouse button. I can drag this in here in my shelf, and then from there the steps are very easy. You can just create a marking menu out of that, and that is something that I already have done. Let me just hide my shelf. I have it right here, render node, bang, there you go. So once you get used to stuff like that, you can create a new scene. There you go, create a render node, and then bring up your dat and start creating the obligatory checkers. Okay, I just wanted to show you that as a little introduction. Again, the most important thing is that you realize, oops, let me bring up Studio Pro, that everything is reflected in the script editor. This is your prime source of information. Okay, so that's that for this chapter. Let's keep it to that, and let's go to chapter 4.